Yo. So hey Sarah. What's up, Kave? I'm gonna do a quick video just going over the guitar part for Cry to Laugh. It's capoed on the 2nd fret. I don't know, it took forever to try to find a thing to prop my phone up on so that you could see the guitar well enough, but I'll just try to go slow. There is there's kind of a theme that goes through the song, and it's this picking part that's in groups of 3 strings, and the first shape is basically the open A string. Let's see if I can get all this in frame. The open A string, your pinky on the D string, 5th fret. That's accounting for the capo. And then the open G string, and the first finger is on the B string, which would be on the 3rd fret. So I'm just going to kind of play this pattern for a second. So basically, the groups of 3 strings is like, that first shape, and then the second one is it's kind of like a C chord shape, and so we're going on that second one. That's ring finger on the low string, 5th fret. Skip a string, go to the D string, middle finger, 4th fret, and then the G string open. So the motion of the first move is and then it goes back up to that first position, back down, back up, and then this one is a little different. Basically, you can keep your hands going to that same C chord shape. The bottom note goes back down to that low the low 5th fret ring finger note, but then the next 2 notes are the G string and the E string, open. I can rake the strings a little bit so you can hear the separation of the notes, but that's the main part. Okay, so then there's a modulation in the verse. To B major, so that comes out of let's see. So out of that low voicing. Sorry again about the angle. We're going to go down to open low string, and that's our shape. It's a skip the A string and do 6th fret on the D string, and the next 2 notes are G string and B string on the 1st or the 3rd fret. Accounting for the capo, and then that resolves to an A, or a B, sorry, but A shape. So up to that point, it sounds like this next part, each verse is a little different. The first verse, they're kind of these gospel chords that climb. The first verse, the part is so there's like a melody on top, but and the shapes are kind of like they're I guess 13ths, or they're like sixth chords. I think of them as sixths, but I guess maybe they're technically 13ths. The shape is kind of like a first finger on low G there, octave, G string's playing the major third, and then your pinky is doing on the B string the sixth. I do it with my thumb just because it's not that hard, and then that chord moves up to basically the top of a C chord, G string, B string, and E string, and the bass note is an A. Then this guy is like it's kind of like a G9 first inversion. So we're doing a B on the low. I don't know what's easier with it when a capo is on, to just say open or the quality of the note, but it's an open A string and then an open G string, so you're skipping the D, and then first finger is barring the B string and the high E string. So and the next guy is the bass line goes back down low. So we've got a low E string, it's open, the G string, B string, and E string, and we're just doing G, D, A. And then thumb on the first, or on G, and you go back to that first voicing. It's kind of like the G 13th. It's basically just made a loop. And then you got this is like a 5 of the B minor that we're coming to. And basically, we're doing a 6th fret ring finger on the low string, an open D string, 6th fret for the G that I'm doing with my pinky, and then ring finger is doing the 5th fret on the B string, and that resolves to a B minor. With the top note being the B string. I don't play the high E on that one. And then back to that first chord, the G6. Then the second chord in that progression, which is the D second inversion. And then we go up to basically like an A second inversion. So I'm playing my my bass note is the 5th. It's the E on the A string. That's 7th fret, and then the G string, 6th fret, and then barring on the top there. So again, skipping a string between the bass note and the chord, and then that just moves down 2 frets, and then we pick back up with the main verse figure. After that, so that that pattern, that verse figure, it's kind of important, at least to me, that it always has that variation on the 3rd go around, where it goes up to that higher group of notes. So I'll play that. Sorry, one more time. So that's the first verse. The second verse is basically the same. When it gets to that kind of gospel-y section, the second time, it ends a bit differently. I go. So it's kind of like an Aaron Coplandy sort of extension to the gospel progression. It starts the same. It's the same all the way up until that B minor chord. And instead of doing a B minor, I do a G first inversion. So that is the A string is open, then an octave. We do the 4th fret on the G string, and then bar those top 2 with your index. And then it's basically an F sharp minor second inversion. So we're doing 4th fret on the A string, and then the top 3 strings are open. So, and then we're doing a second inversion on that G chord, the 13th one from the beginning of this section. This one is a bit of a cluster under the fingers, but the way that I do it is because I'm actually doing the penultimate chord with my middle finger. The next one I bar with my ring finger, the A string and the D string, and then play the G string with my middle finger, and then the pinky takes the B string there. So I mean, you could just as easily, if you can get that under your hand, that'll work using 2 fingers for those bottom strings. But I think I kind of cheat by always playing that chord broken instead of as a group like that. But I don't know. It's some shit I would do. And then we go back to the verse. There's a little lead-in chord that goes to the bridge section, or whatever you want to call it. I basically just do the low string on 5th fret, ring finger, open D string, and then index finger on the B string. That's it. Yeah, Dave. Then the chorus is like it just holds a G chord and the bass line moves. So the melody in the bass is and back down. Something like that. Boom, 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 boom. How do I get to the last part? I think maybe it does that open chord again, the low A, the E, and the D. And then the next move is a descending part that I really like. That's like a, it's kind of like the top 4 strings of a F sharp minor chord, you know, or E minor if you're thinking of this capo. So that's D string, 4th fret, and then the high E string, 5th fret. That moves down chromatically, and the G string and B string are open underneath those. So, and then kind of like a D major 7, it resolves to a G chord. Then we're in this last little verse before the solo section, and I think it resolves like the first verse did. Then the solo section is really cool. It's after that little go around of the verse pattern, we go to a low E string, and then D string on the 3rd fret, and then the B string open, and that resolves to you know, an A chord if you're thinking of it with a capo. Then this variation, the 3rd time around, when you get to that low E, it's the low E again, and then the 6th fret on the D string and 6th fret on the B string, back down to the A. So that's kind of a substitute for in the verses where it modulates to the A when we're doing the in the solo section. It's, and then the climb in this one is like the furthest out version of the climb. It starts the same, but then when we get to the part where we usually go back down to the low E and have that on top, we're doing what's essentially like a D minor with E flat in the bass, which is a very fucked up chord. And that's a 6th fret on the A string, and then the top 3 notes of the D minor chord. So that's 7th fret on the G string, 6th fret on the B, and 5th fret on the high E string. And that's how I'm fingering it. And then that goes to an open D string, 5th fret on the G string, and then barring the B and E on that 3rd fret. So that's the motion. And then we got back to that F sharp minor chord, 2nd inversion. I'm turned around. No. Let me play up to that. That's what it is, yeah. Okay, so when we go from, we actually don't go to the second inversion minor chord. It's a kind of like an A13, and it's the 5th fret on the low string, and then the top 3 strings are open. Then to that 5, the leading chord, the F sharp major dominant 7, first inversion. So that's a second ring finger rather on 6th fret, low string, open D string, pinky on the G string, and middle finger on the B string, 6th fret and 5th fret respectively. And then to that G second inversion chord, that's the A string, and then the top 3 strings of like what would be an F chord if you were a normal person. And then that second inversion of the minor chord, the F sharp minor chord, and then that weird chord that's all bunched up, which is like a G13 second inversion, and that's the I'm barring it this time with my middle finger, the A string and the D string, and then first finger is on the G string, and the ring finger is doing the B string. So the solo section is with the low note there, and the low note, the G there, the 3rd fret, that rings over that riff for a second. So it's just kind of a variation on the main theme there, and then it just does the chorus again. If I ever do which, if it does happen, all that is like mimicking the way that the melody goes up on that 3rd iteration of the phrase in the modulation, which would just be, let's make it by right hand. It's kind of a augmented major chord. So I mean, you could figure that out if it is important. That's that whole tune. If somebody wants to tab that out, I'm happy to take a look at the tabs and make sure that that they're right, and I didn't give anybody a bum steer or anything, but hope it was entertaining and fun, and diminished trick at the end. I don't know if I have one. Oh yeah, there is a little line at the end. Ba, 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 ba. I'll have to listen to it. I'll have to listen to the record. I can play the whole thing except for the diminished trick at the end that I forgot about. ends that is different, and I think. Something like that. I'll figure out what that part was at the end and post a video of it. But all right, thanks everybody. I hope everybody's well and staying safe and inside. And I appreciate you guys tuning in to check this out. See you later.